so number 5. This is, on the second sheet, day 2 review. This is probably the longest proof you're going to have today or tomorrow. Statements, reasons. Let me try that again. I'll try to write that a little better. Statements, reasons. Okay, so 1, we're going to state what we know. So what are our givens? So AD is perpendicular to DC. Yep, and how did we know that? Okay, 2 points. Second one up, angle B is a right angle. How did I know that? It's given. And then step 3, we know that AD is parallel to BC. How did I know it? Given. Okay, so I'll pause here so you guys can take a second. So now we look at what we have, and we're going to build off the fact that we know it's perpendicular. When you have perpendicular lines, what do they form? Right angles. So it says here that AD is perpendicular to DC. So that means that angle D is a right angle. How did I know that? Yep, because perpendicular lines form right angles. Okay, so perpendicular lines form right angles. I'm going to draw in this one right here because it tells us that B is also a right angle. Now that we know we have right angles, what do we know about right angles? They're congruent. So step 5 is going to be that angle B is congruent to angle D. And how did we know that? All, exactly right, Raj. All right angles are congruent. Okay, so when you have perpendicular lines, you always follow it up by right angles, and then right angles are congruent. So it always goes linearly with that. Now that we have all of that one done, we're going to look and see what else we have. We have the fact that they are parallel. So AD is parallel to BC. So what else can we show here? We have 2 things we can see from this picture. Yep.
It's not vertical. Is it the other one?
It's not going to be linear pairs if that's what you're thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
But it's in that idea. So let's start with there's something in this picture you see immediately. Okay, Taylor, you want to go?
Wait, parallel lines?
So the other one.
Reflexive AC.
Yep, so we see we have a reflexive property happening here, AC. You don't have to put it in yet, but since we see it, I figured it just might be a nice point to put it in. So AC is congruent to CA based on the fact that they are reflexive property. Did you see the other part there, Taylor? Okay, so what else is happening? Yep, so we also have alternate interior angle. I'm going to see if I can fit that in there. I keep touching the screen. Angle. And then you just have to write POST, post. And on this one, you have 2 different sets of alternate interior angles. You can pick a different one than I picked. It doesn't matter. I always just lean towards the smaller angles, or what I think is the smaller angles. So we have angle A. So angle DAC is congruent to angle BA or BCA. And we know that because of alternate interior angles. So when you look at your picture, we now have every piece we needed to show. We have 2 angles and we have a side. When we have 2 angles and a side, what type of way can we prove this? So that's going to be our last step. We are going to do that. So it brings us down to either angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. So the 2 options we have are those 2, which means you have to look at the picture and you have to tell me, is this side between our 2 angles? So if these are the 2 angles of each triangle, is this side between it? It's not, right? Because it's off to the side. The angle's here. This would be the side between it. This would be the side between it. So if it's not between it, which one do we use? Angle, angle, side. So now we're going to say that the 2 triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. So I'm going to fill out that part before I forget. AAS. And we can just say those 2 triangles are congruent Our triangles ways that we list them do not have to match up as long as the letters that are in order correspond to each other. So A has to go in the same position as C because they both have the same congruent mark. D has to go in the same position as B, and the one without a congruent mark has to go in the same position. So here we have that, the triangle C, B, A. Can you see that A okay? I know I wrote it on the line. So that's CBA. And then now, Raj, what's my last step?
CTCPC.
Yep. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. And that is always going to be when you're looking for a specific part. The last line always has that as its answer in this class. And what your last part for the given or the statements is going to be what you set out to prove. So BC is congruent to DC.